I'm starving the system myself. I'm doing my part. I made less than $13,000 last year.
You guys realize that the income tax is illegal. Totally is. What the income tax, it was supposed to only tax the profit of businesses. See? Not a wage. A wage is not a profit. A wage is what we make. It's not a profit. I'm not making a profit. I am not a business. I'm an employee. And employees can't make a profit. We cannot make a profit. Everything an employee makes is a wage. I'm sorry, words have definitions and meanings. So how can we pay income tax? Well, because Congress and the corporations got together and said, well, why don't you take money out of your employees and we'll call that taking care of your tax burden. See? When they take out the taxes out of your check, what they're doing is you're paying for the individual corporation's tax burden. They're deferring their tax burden off to you. Same thing goes with tipped employees. When a tipped employee has to declare his tips, okay? What the individual business owner is making you do is pay for their tax burden. It's not their tax burden. What they're doing is making the customer pay the bill, pay for his payroll. See, most businesses have a payroll and they have to pay the employees, but when you have tipped employees, you don't have to pay them minimum wage. What you do is you cross your fingers and hope that the customer will go ahead and pay that. So when you stiff somebody, this isn't a condemnation on the stiffing public. Because as a tipped employee, I believe that tipping is optional. I get it. You should base your tip based on the service you get, right? It shouldn't be, well, I have to pay for this guy's wage. Well, if you don't like it, you can go find another job. Yeah, we can go find another job. We could find another herd or another tax farm in which to be raised on. I get it. I'm just telling you how it is. And there's one thing that we can do to change it so that we get all of our own money. Is that you end the corporation. And how do you end the corporation? You end the state. I am for business. I am for the free market. But the free market cannot thrive if there's corporations and the state. Because corporations will lobby the state to close the door on future competition. See? Try opening a restaurant this day and age. You have to get your permits and make sure the Board of Health is satisfied and OSHA is satisfied, and then you got your taxes and shit all lined up. Now, 50 years ago, the guy that started my pizza company, the company that I work for, started a little independent little place and grew a chain here in the city. He could not do that today with a comparable amount of money. No. You need millions. I mean, if you want to buy a franchise, sure, that cuts out a lot of the middleman. You come up with $100,000 to buy the name, and then with that $100,000, the corporation that you're buying into will help facilitate your opening of that business. We get that. We get that, don't we? Economics majors. Wizards. So, income tax is bullshit. Having to declare your tips is bullshit. Now, why, so many years ago, was it so easy to get the female server, to declare their tips? Because it's the low end of the job and the low end of the people. You're going to get the low end of the labor force. They're not too bright, and they're cowardly, and they'll just take whatever scraps you give them, right? Why is this happening to the delivery drivers nowadays? Because blame the fluoride in the water and the sissification of the American man. I tried to get everybody in my place to boycott, not boycott, but to protest having to declare our tips. I couldn't get a single other driver, male or otherwise, to go along. But Jim, they're just gonna fire you and find somebody else. Well, that's when we, come on now. There's ways around that, there's ways. See, to be fired for such a thing, for protesting the government stealing more of our money, that's an act of aggression on their part. Thus, you are allowed to defend yourself with violent defensive aggression. See? Don't start no shit, won't be no shit, anarchy rules, anarchy rules. But when you make an employee declare his tips, that is starting some shit. That is getting into some shit. Because it's across the board. It's not like you can go to another pizza joint and say, well, you don't have to declare your tips here. Because they're all like that. Because they're all lockstep. What? They don't want people to open up a brand new pizza joint. So they all get together and they pull that shit. No, Jim, the government makes them do it. Well, if all the businesses in the world got together and said, screw government, government would be screwed. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? I'm starving the system myself. I'm doing my part. I made less than $13,000 last year. Less than $13,000 last year. 43-year-old man, lives on his own, doesn't get government assistance. And I'm able to survive and thrive to a lesser degree. So, taxation is extortion. And we have all been extorted. Roads! No, we've all been extorted. Don't you guys understand? Extortion is the use of coercion and threat to get what you want. And we've been extorted.